I hope you've all been having a great day and found it very informative. So, without much ado, I will welcome our first speaker, Miss Ruth Abisola Olusoya, who is the Honorable Commissioner of Agriculture for Lagos State. Please keep applauding. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Dr. Adebowale Akonde, Director and CEO, BIP International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. Please keep at the center. Congratulations. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And last but certainly not the least, Mr. Adewale Adeyipo, Managing Director, CWG PLC and Fifth Lab. We keep applauding. I'm not seeing him anywhere. Is he joining us? No. Okay. We have two able panelists. Welcome, welcome. How has the day been for you?
It's been quite informative.
Informative.
Yes.
What's the most significant thing you've heard here today?
The truth, nothing has been said here is new. I think everyone here is aware of the challenges faced in this sector, but it's just that the dimensioning of it can come in a different form. I think my joy and happiness is we all agree to certain things that need to be done, and I'm hoping that this will not just be another talk shop. We do a lot of talk shops, and I'm really hoping that from here we'll be able to go back to our respective locations and businesses and as government and do what is needful.
Okay, so just a quick introduction to this panel. We're going to be talking about building food security in Africa and a public-private and development partnership approach. So that's what we'll majorly be kind of focused on in our conversation. So I'll come to you, sir. How do you think the public-private partnership can best be achieved in this area?
Thank you very much. I like the dimension that came with not just the public, private, but that also included the development partnerships.
Yes.
Reason why I say that is because for a very long time, we have been assuming that it's just the public and private sectors that are the great actors in the ag sector. But you have quite a lot that is ongoing with the development partners as well, in terms of resources, in terms of technical know-how, and what have you. I believe strongly that most of the colleagues that have spoken here today will have, at a point in time, have an interaction, with one of the development partners who has probably provided support for them. It's also much more important to look at that angle because not all, but a very good number of the technology that we are using now in the world comes from the developed world. So that to me, I think, is quite critical and very, very important. To bring it down home a bit, as you mentioned, I work with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, which is, of course, classified under the Development Organization. It has a responsibility for over 19 countries in Africa. It's a lot of something years, 6 years in Nigeria in diverse research. But it's not enough to just do research. When you do your research, you develop the research to innovation and technology. Um, how is this going to be scaled? Okay. And I think that's the stage where we are. That's the stage where I come in. And for us, we see technology as a critical component of this scaling as we go along. And that's why I'm quite excited, to see what is happening here today. One of the greatest disconnects, in the ag sector and agribusiness is what I think this meeting today is going to be bridging, and that's where my interest comes in. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me just touch on the technology part. Can you give us some examples of how you are using technology?
One of the speakers spoke about aflatoxin here today. And that was right. Aflatoxin is a major issue that you find in crops that has limited our engagement in trade. As far as groundnut is concerned. For a very long time, we didn't know what aflatoxin was, and we're struggling with the groundnut industry. I know a lot has been said about the groundnut pyramid, things like that. But IITA came up with a technology that is now being used to combat this aflatoxin almost to an acceptable standard, shall I say. Because if you have to export processed products out of the country, for example, let's assume you're exporting pap, and this is a real life experience, the pap bit. One of the companies in Nigeria came to us and said, I exported pap to England and it was rejected. A whole lot container was rejected. And the condition that he was giving was that he either pay to return it back to Nigeria or he pays to destroy it. So either way, he was losing a lot, and that was where we got engaged in our discussion. So countries in Europe have limits level that they allow for aflatoxin, 5 parts per billion. Countries in America and all, they do have. So what that innovation in ITA has done now is to reduce that aflatoxin problem to that appreciable level if you use it. But that is just one. There are diverse other. Akilimo is there. Akilimo that is helping to trace the use of seed from source to the end now is a technology within IITA that is being used. I've had somebody talking about the issue of e-extension. There are diverse technology that's been developed in IITA that is meant for e-extensions services as well. Nodumax is a product quite a lot of these are there. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is that yes, it's our job to develop those innovations. It's our job to develop those technology. But it is of the private sector to take it up and scale, and that is where my role stands. If you note very well that uh, title said business incubation platform. It is not the commercialization. We incubate, and then we ask private sector to take it and expand on it.
Let me bring the commissioner in. So, can you share with us some of the successful examples of private public partnerships that you may have worked on within your ministry?
Um, okay, so I think before sharing the examples, I think what is more important is what is the real success rate of public-private partnerships. Now, we mentioned PPPs. I mean, it's such a nice acronym, a beautiful slogan to, splash across the papers and social media and what have you. But in reality, it is not as straightforward as we make it appear. I think this is my fifth year in government, coming from private sector, and I can tell you that what I can achieve in the private sector in 3 months, it will take me 5 to 6 years, possibly, to achieve in government. The collaborations that I would easily have in the private sector in a few weeks, I mean, we dot the I's, cross the T's, we know the KPIs, we know what each party should do, and the areas for where we need to come together and then draw the line. It's very clear, but in the PPPs, it's actually a very difficult bridge, and the reason is not far-fetched. For the fact that you have multiple agencies of government involved, you face a lot of hurdles. I know the amount of PPPs I have been trying to bridge the gap in the last couple of years, and I can bet you sometimes, like just yesterday, we were still looking for a file in another MDA. We've been on this PPP matter for the last 4 years. A file is not to be found. And upon digging, oh yes, we have found the file, but some things are not in the file. So it's a very,
That's astonishing.
yes.
But
Now, not to say that for some it could be as easily done as possible, but I'm just trying to tell you the bottom line as to what I have seen and how difficult it can be to achieve PPPs,
so how can it
particularly
be
without.
simplified?
So
can it
the
be
simplification of it comes with having a one-stop shop center for PPPs. I know some governments have tried to do it. I don't know how successful they have been, but the truth of the matter is if I know that for a collaboration to happen, I need the assessment, or I need the approval from the Ministry of Agriculture. I need, for instance, say from physical planning, I need from Ministry of Environment, I need from the PPP office itself, I need from so many agencies of government that would cut across that particular collaboration. Then it will be important to have every single one of those agencies have a representative and possibly have a one-stop table where everything as regards that collaboration would need to be done. But that is, not coming as quickly as we would like it to be. And also it's coming as a result of many of us wanting to stand as silos. And also when you have different agendas, it can actually be a bit tricky. In my ministry, I know that we have tried, particularly across the red meat value chain. In some cases, it's been good, but that is usually for collaborations that, in terms of scale and scope, it's actually small. When you are talking of the real collaborations that can make impactful change, it can be very tricky. So I wouldn't want to bore you with the details. And I see some of my colleagues in the room nodding. African farmer, he understands where I'm coming from. But we will surely get there. But it's just a function of all of us agreeing to the fact that we need to drop our egos, we need to drop their personal agenda and get moving with what needs to be done.
Okay, so give us a bit of an uplift.
Yes.
Tell us about the ones that have actually gone through and worked.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, so looking at the red meat value chain, for instance, just recently we launched the cold trucking solutions for our red meat value chain in Lagos. Not that we didn't have cold trucking before, but there were hiccups along the way. Financial institutions, partnerships with the intended stakeholders, it went sour. But in trying to ensure that private sector still comes within this space, we've tried to give more encouragement and to ensure that in terms of enforcement, we are up to the game. So just last week, we launched some trucking solutions, like I mentioned, not just trucking solutions, even for what do you call it, cattle crushway. That's also by the private sector. And you have so many levels of this, and we have a lot of private sector players within the space. But what I will still clamor for is that the real game changers, the real large-scale collaborations, it's been very difficult to come by. Now, within some sectors of government, yes, it happens, but it means that at a very high level, there has to be that intervention for it to happen. If that intervention is not also coming from high up, you can face a lot of hiccups.
So,
Yes.
final question. If you had a magic wand,
Yes.
what would you kind of like wish for in your industry that would kind of solve your headaches?
If I had a magic wand, that's a very difficult question because I would probably ask for the elimination of a lot of people. I'm so sorry. And when I say eliminate, I don't mean kill, but trust me, there would have to be a total wipeout of several layers that we
Is
have
it
put
bureaucracy?
in place.
Yes.
Yes, that is not allowing a lot of things to move as fast as they should.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll come to you with the same question. What keeps you up at night in the work that you do, and that you would wave away with a magic wand?
Okay, so let me do an open disclaimer. Okay. I work as an executive advisor to the governor for your state, so she's my colleague. So I can on agribusiness and international cooperation and development. Okay, although I'm talking from the ITA side today, but I just want to point to what she raised, because I lead on the strategy and the program for your state on agribusiness, and I do understand what she's saying perfectly. For me, I think at the highest level, like she has mentioned, if agriculture or agribusiness is made a primary priority, then you put your money where your mouth is. I can rightly say that about your state. I'm not. Priorities differs, and that is fine. From the inception of the new government, four key areas are known. One that has to do with economical development, health, education, and security. And for the economical development of the state, the governor, concluded that what we have in Oyo State as our own comparative advantage to develop the economy is our agriculture. Oyo State landmass, I like to relay that out quite often, is quite big. I mean, that's a state that is bigger than the whole of the southeast of Nigeria combined. It's bigger than Rwanda as a country, and that's a state in Nigeria. And over 70% of the land of Oyo State is arable. And by the time we came to the government, less than 15% of that land were cultivated. Now, the point is this: that's a gold mine, for us as a state. And it took that as a major area. Because it did that, it becomes a bit easier for some of us that are working in that space, to engage. He established an agency that reports to him directly. For example, I don't have an intermediary between me and the governor. I talk with him directly, because that's a major area for him. And that has helped that kind of a public-private and development partnership that I was making reference to. Just a couple of days ago, we have a group of investors from Turkey that came, and they're coming to invest in mass in the state. And it didn't take more than an hour or two to call him and say, you need to meet these guys. And he said, I'm making myself available, because it's somewhere that is a priority. And that's not the first time. There are diverse other investors that will do that for as well. So that is very, very important to have that political will and for at the highest level. And I agree with that, absolutely on that. But in addition to that as well, to have an understanding that agriculture could not be done in silos. Okay, I can't be doing my things here, you are doing yours there, and they are doing theirs here. It has to pull our resources together collectively, to get things done. And for individual part of those connection or group, to understand where their limitation stops. For example, we understand in Oyo State that there is no business of government and business as far as agriculture is concerned. Our role is to develop enabling environment, provide the right kind of a policy for private sector to thrive, and to draw resources from development organization and technical expertise to support this private sector. And that is what we've been doing. That has proven to be very, very successful, in the state. Just yesterday, the vice president was in the state, and one of the reasons why I came a bit late here, to commission a particular road, in the state, about 70 something kilometers of it, that was never in existence in Oyo State and has just newly been built. Now, that is very important because the reason why that road was built was not just built for any reason than agricultural reason. So our whole strategy has been designed around the agribusiness of the state. And the governor said, but where you go, I follow. Because in his own understanding is that wherever there is nothing like without a rural infrastructural transformation, you can't say you are having rural agriculture. Yeah, so that is quite important. If we're engaging in areas where we're trying to do business, then, we are already doing what is.
Okay, so I see that we're actually running out of time rapidly. The conversation has been so engrossing, I didn't even notice. So we have 3 minutes left, and I would like to throw open to the audience. If anybody has a question for our panelists, then, oh, I see a question over there. There's someone have a mic. Two questions. Thank you. Please introduce yourself and let us know who the question is for.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
My name is Akiade Abdulmalik. I'm a student at the University of Lagos. I actually want to ask this question when His Excellency was speaking, but every time I'm always nervous. So, and I know that this is probably the best place that I can ask the question. So, I'm very passionate about agriculture, and I hope that one day I would have a farm, probably as big as the Obasanjo's farm one day. So currently, I and my friends, two of my friends, one is here actually, we are working towards building having a student society whereby like minds that are they are passionate about agriculture can come together, and also people that are indifferent about agriculture, whereby we can um, share the awareness of the potentials of agriculture to them. So we are trying to like bring everyone together. And then currently we are in fact about 45 of us. So my question is actually in two. So one for me and then one for our society. So the first question is, um, are there any specific initiative, projects, or opportunities, okay, maybe collaborations that you would recommend for our society to consider? And then the second question is, what advice would you give me to help us, I mean, me and my friends, to help us to achieve our goal of creating awareness to students about exploring the potentials of agriculture in Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to?
Your question is quite broad, and it's also not giving enough information. When you say your cooperative, your society, the advice, it's actually not very specific. Now, I think myself and Dr. Akonde will share. I'll give my own opinion. He'll give his. But I think you also wanted to ask Baba directly what the question. So I think we'll also give Baba the opportunity to answer, or maybe Baba should even answer first, and then we can just add some adjustment to it. I don't know if that would work. So we'll leave it to our moderator.
Baba, would you like to answer the question? Thank you, sir. A round of applause.
Please be seated.
Welcome, sir.
I did ask when I came up early this at the beginning of this program, and I was at a stage directing my talk, my remark, my address to young potential farmers, young farmers who are just inside, and those who are even thinking of what can they do um, in terms. No. Well, don't forget that my constituency was where I used to stand and to salute when I stand. Um, so when you say your group or you yourself, you are referring to young, those who are already trying to be in farming, or those who are uh, there and they are trying to find their way forward. And I said the first thing is interest. And don't uh, forget that. If you are not interested in farming, don't go into it. Um, if you don't want to get wet, what are you doing in the river? Don't go into it. It is risky, hazardous, but it is also rewarding and can be profitable. Now, so the first thing is interest. If you have interest, if you remember what I said, you whether you whatever form of farming you want to go into, you need land. Even if you are going into aquaculture, you need land. I am going into beekeeping now and honey making, what they call apiculture. I need land where I will put the box for the to make the beehive. So land is very, very important. And I said, and you heard what Dr. Kande said, we didn't quite get the Commissioner of Agriculture in Lagos State to say more or less the same thing, but I hope we will get her. Now, there must be deliberate effort to encourage, to incentivize, to provide the conducive condition and environment for you, if you show interest, and for you to get land, if you show interest. Then I believe that the next thing is you need money. You have got interest, you have got land, you are still not there. You need money. And if you remember, I think you were here when when I made my remark. It's not money at the rate of interest rate of 25%. That one you won't make it. Now, any interest rate for agribusiness that is more than single digit, forget it. You will not make it. And that, I think some of the people who have spoken on the panel made this clear. You need money, and government has to see agriculture as a security issue, a national security issue. And if it is seen as such, then I believe the rest will be easy. But then you, as a farmer, must see agribusiness as a business. Agribusiness as a business. You don't do a business and say, well, and you don't think it through. And if there's anything, what do you have to do? You think of what can be the worst case scenario in your business. And that is very, very important. I'm saying this, what I will say next, I'm saying it because I know maybe Commissioner for Agriculture in Ogun State, in Lagos State, will also make us know. I believe that Lagos State hasn't got as much land as Oyo State. But even the little land you get and water you get, you can do agribusiness. You can do aquaculture. But you also need to give encouragement. I will just support the point made by Dr. Kande because I have part of my farm or farming enterprise in Oyo State. And the encouragement that I get from Oyo State government, I don't get much like that in any other state, not even in my own state, which is Ogun State. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baba, for those illuminating remarks. I'll come to you though, just to get a response and round up the conversation. So, how can people partner with you? I mean, I believe he was kind of asking something along those lines. Yeah,
So
young businesses.
young businesses. Okay, so what I have seen also over the years is people throw proposals, people come forward with various ideas, but those ideas can actually take you off track, which is why we launched our 5 year agricultural roadmap in 2021. So essentially, like previous panels had said, there's always a somersault of policies, of direction, of goals. We in Lagos State, we have tried to keep to this clear-cut strategy, and very shortly we would also be releasing in terms of performance indicators how far and how well we have gone. So if you go on our social media handles, for instance, you see the specific areas of intervention and what we are trying to do as a state. So, particularly around capacity building, also in terms of infrastructure, in terms of market accessibility, financing, and technological innovations. So, across this divide, these are the areas of focus for us, and these are the areas where we want people to come in with the beautiful ideas. And if it meshes well with ours, then we can proceed from there. For the youth, we have various programs. And I'm also happy that I have friends in this room that, in terms of trying to see areas of collaboration, particularly for young businesses, we are trying to create an ecosystem. So we have the Agri Innovation Club or Fellowship. So you have businesses like, let's say, Price Pally, Soilless Farm Lab or Upepsia, Cat Agro is also in the room, and a few other good businessmen and women. Now, these are young people between the ages of 20 something up to 40, and they're doing very well in their respective fields. Everything about government doesn't necessarily have to be funding, funding, funding. Just creating a platform for businesses that otherwise would not meet themselves. We are trying to create that platform where a Soilless Farm Lab can now start to collaborate with the Catagro, because Catagro is an e-marketplace, or another business like Price Pally can actually latch on to some others for more produce and what have you. So creating that ecosystem is something we are trying to do. But aside that, we also have an ecosystem for incubation for various businesses. So if you're interested in aquaculture, for instance, or livestock, or even in rice, there are opportunities that are bound, and we can make that possible. More importantly, market access space. That is a big problem that we have seen over the years. And looking at the Motion Food Hub that we commissioned in December, for instance, we have young farmers who otherwise would not have been able to sell directly to consumers, now being able to do that and maximizing the profit that they would have otherwise lost to middlemen. So we are trying to create as many opportunities as possible, and we are also giving the open access to you to reach out to us. Let's share the ideas, and if we see that synchronization, then we move with it.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm sure the minister will be very happy to have conversations with people after this.
I'm sorry, 3 people have said minister
Oh,
in the last 2 hours. So say amen on my behalf.
Amen. Yes. Commissioner, soon to be minister. Amen. So we have time for actually one more question, I'm told. So over here.
To Oyo and Lagos. Now, my father was the second group managing director of Odua. Lagos needs supply. Oyo has land. I've operated in Oyo for over 27 years. You have dams, you have water, you have reservoirs. Can you commit to us on this platform a new relationship, a new collaboration between Oyo and Lagos, so that 3 months, 5 months down the line, we can have supply of all the foods we need? Can you commit to us, sir and ma? Thank you.
Can we seal it with a handshake?
That's African farmer. Just this morning, we actually have a plan to start our roadshow for Produce for Lagos, and also to try to ensure that what we are building, which will be the largest food hub in Africa, because we want to launch phase 1 by December of this year, is to ensure that states like Oyo, Niger, Kwara, Sokoto, Kebbi, Ogun, they are on board with us on this. We know where our comparative and collaborative advantages can come, and we've identified Oyo as a key partner, particularly for the Southwest. So for us on our side, Dr. Akondesa.
We love that. We love that partnership. We love to see it. Collaboration. Would you like to say something?
Just to say that I concord. Anyway, but just a point quickly. I know she's really on time. Want us to finish on time. I think just 2 things that I will say. One, to the young man that spoke earlier. There are diverse agripreneur projects, programs, across the whole of the country. IITA has an agripreneur program. If you want to get to know, and quite a lot, they have over almost 4 million set of people they are working with across the whole of Africa with their database and all what have you. They're also working with Lagos State government and diverse states, and so you can kind of link up with them. I think that is going to be very, very important. In addition to that, of course, at the state level, we have ours, but I'm not going to talk much about that. The other thing I want to mention is issue of wrong expectation. Please, agriculture is not as easy as people has assumed. It's not just to throw it on the ground and you get it. It's like any other business. Okay, so be prepared to do all what requires. It's very profitable. It's great. It's wonderful. But I know African farmer will tell you much more than that. That thing is not that rosy. So get the right thing done. Have your business plan in place. We can't go into all the details here because of the time. And the last thing that I will mention is that, please, guys, African farmer, you guys that have been, that you are up there, support these guys. I will tell you one story. I won't go too much into the detail, but I wish that the honorable minister is here, now. We're very close, and I will tell you why. In 2008, a young man walked into my office when I was working with the British government, and he needed an access to something. He just came from England with his suit and well-dressed, well-spoken, and, I look at him and I was wondering, okay, what this guy came with makes a little bit of a sense. I have the resources, not mine personally, but from where I was working with. Let me just provide that 50% of that resources for him. That's the minister of that you spoke with today. And he doesn't stop saying it anywhere, any day, anywhere. He kept on saying it that, bro, you gave me this access, and this. And when he was going to set up the CCE hubs, I was one of the first person that he sent the concept note to look into and see what that has led to today. So please, guys, I call him my organa, make fun of me and say, hey, we kind of guy, So this is what it is. This is what it is, And guys, please, I know Affect is here as well. Affect will tell you a lot about what we've done at early days, Give access, it makes you greater, Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you for the question. So we really must leave it there. I think we've completely run out of time. Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists. Please, a massive round of applause for them. And thank you for being a great audience. And thank you.
Let's put our hands together for our esteemed panelists and our very able moderator, Stephanie Busari. And I'm please ask all our VIPs and our conference organizers to kindly join us on stage for the picture. We have come to the final panel, and I must say it's been 5 very exciting panels. I feel like I was in university just learning from all of you experts. So very well done to you all. Yes, we all are VIPs. I know I called the VIPs, but I want you to know you're all VIPs. We just can't all fit on the stage today. Don't forget to smile for the pictures. I can't believe we've come to the end of the